Let's talk to Angela Levin, royal biographer, our favourite royal commentator, of course. She's going to tell us what she made of Prince Harry's mewings yesterday, because I think that's what we can call them. Prince Harry's mewings. Angela, very good morning to you.
Good morning.
I mean, I don't know where to begin, really.
No.
It seems to me that alone, Prince Harry is even more annoying than he is when he's with his wife.
Well, he's probably been instructed by his wife, but
Yeah.
I'm quite surprised why I am and I'm not, actually, why she didn't come over, because it's obviously stressful.
Yeah.
He's obviously unable to cope with questions, or he has not done his research properly and he's sitting for an exam type of thing.
Yes.
You know, suddenly realise, help, I haven't looked up anything. And you would think that she would want to be there to support him, not come into the court, of course,
Right.
but actually be there with him. But as we've seen recently, she disappears and lets him, well, he doesn't cope, but just let him go through it on his own.
Well, she didn't, I mean, she didn't come for the coronation, where he was here for about 5 minutes. He's come here again this time, basically, to tell us that he hates the government. He doesn't like Britain very much. He hates the British press. I mean, you know, I don't understand what his point is, really.
But he also wants to be addressed as His Royal Highness.
Yes.
Which he promised the Queen he would not use. So, you know, it's blow to everybody else and I do what I want. But you can't, it's hard to understand why somebody who wants to live miles away, thousands of miles away, has no involvement in the country, won't, in terms of talking to his family or making good or even to his friends. And he thinks this is his life's work, which that's his saying, not me.
Right.
And he's going to do it on and on. He's not going to give in. And I've been thinking, why does he want to do this? Because it's so negative and attacking, being under attack, even if it's done politely for 5 hours, is not easy. And I think he's looking to have a bit of power. If Meghan has the power in their relationship, we can all see that from afar. And he doesn't have any power. He's not doing any real jobs. And so this is a way of him showing power. But what he doesn't realise is that he hasn't got the ammunition.
Well, it's a kind of petulance as well, isn't it? It's a sort of petulant power, because it's almost like he's trying to wreak revenge on all the people that he thinks have done him harm. And, of course, as I was saying on a show last night, he's not the only member of the royal family who's been in the spotlight all of his life. You know, most people in the royal family have had the same treatment. Most of them can deal with it, but he can't.
No, well, we've seen very much that he's very happy to crash into other people's privacy.
Yeah.
His father, his brother, all those things. But he feels that nobody's allowed to do that to him. So it's very, very poor judgment. But the other thing I think of, it can really be he's likes to self-destruct. He did that at school, he did that in the army. Every now and then when things are working out well, he does something that is makes him look ridiculous or wrong or silly, like, you know, and it's, I think something happens to him that he has to destroy. My third thing, and last, is that he's obviously got this addiction, and whether he's taken that to the court, where he becomes a serial litigant, and he keeps on coming back and taking people to court or threatening to take them to court, and then if they don't, if he doesn't win that time, he'll come back and do another one. I mean, he's got loads and loads of pocket money to waste on this, and if that gives him a sort of kick, I fear he might do that.
Well, this is the thing. I mean, I think at one point last month he had 6 different cases in the High Court going on at the same time, you know, practically filling up the entire space of the building, you know. And it's almost as though, you're right, he's looking for something to kind of hold on to as a kind of almost like a calling of some kind, you know, because it's not really a job to keep appearing in court and suing people. But he's taken an awful lot of money from an awful lot of publishers and sort of, you know, production companies and film companies to give us his truth. But now he's being actually questioned by somebody about the truth. He doesn't seem to remember very much about what actually happened.
No, he's even said to them, ask the journalist.
Yeah.
No, he hasn't got the name of the journalist. He doesn't know the date of the newspaper piece.
Right.
And it's ridiculous. But I think also that he's put himself in a very dark place, dark and lonely place, and that's what's really sad. I mean, I think he's being ridiculous, but it's also sad that he's had to go back more than 20 years. And it's all negative. His girlfriend, Chelsea Davy, dropped him. That's everybody else's fault.
Right.
Could be his fault. And all those things about his mother, which is obviously terrible, but actually at some point people must do their very best to move on. And it's all negative. It's all in the dark. I don't know how you can build your confidence when you are in a place where it's all so far away that you can't actually change it.
Right.
There's no point. I know lots of people who help those who have difficulty moving forward. They have to say, you've got to find something that's positive, that helps you, that gives you confidence and makes you have a trust in yourself. He wallows, I don't mean in an enjoyment way, but this is all he knows is negative, negative, negative. And I think today, when he's got more cases and more incidents to go through with the lawyer, that it would just be more of a sort of heap on him. I mean, it's just extraordinary that somebody with so many opportunities can destroy himself in that way.
And as you say, how ironic that he wants to be called His Royal Highness, but he would settle for Prince Harry, so they're already calling him Prince Harry every single moment of the day in court. But also, one other thing that I thought struck me is how overprivileged he is, was that he actually uttered the words in his statement, I was worried that nobody at Eton would speak to me. I mean, most people have never even been anywhere near the grounds of Eton, never mind actually attending the college itself inside. It's so expensive, it's so ridiculous. Nobody can do what he can do here because it's so expensive and ridiculous. I mean, I don't know what his barrister charges. It's probably about £1,000 an hour or something. He's living this ludicrous, privileged life, and it's all about him. I mean, surely he could find some better, sort of programme of humanitarian charity or something to do. He needs to find something to do, doesn't he?
Yeah, well, I slightly disagree with you about Eton, because I think if you're a boy who's scraped in right at the bottom, he was often at the bottom of the class, that he would feel that he was in the wrong place. He shouldn't have gone to that.
But I mean, to just be able to attend a school like that is beyond the wildest dreams of anyone.
He didn't feel he was up to it. It was very hard for him. So he told me that he couldn't cope with it, so he thought he'd go with the bad boys. Yeah. That's really sad. But what I thought was completely ludicrous, he complained about one piece that he accused the Mirror of, he had a meal in a very smart restaurant, and that appeared in the paper. And he said that he thought it must have been, the lawyer said it doesn't have to be Mirror, the famous chef could have rung up the paper to tell them that you were in his restaurant. And he said, no, a chef would be cooking the meal, he wouldn't have time. And he didn't realise he's probably surrounded by umpteen other chefs doing different sorts. And they said, I've never been in a kitchen. Well, that shows you a lot about him.
But this is it. I mean, the fact is,
everybody else has to do the job.
Yeah.
That's why he said, get the journalist, ask my lawyers. He's not actually taking any responsibility for masses of things that he's arguing for.
I mean, how does he think so many people got so many stories about his mother? Most of the time it was because she was tipping them off herself.
Yes.
He doesn't seem to realise, he doesn't seem to think that newspapers get stories by means which are actually quite unremarkable.
Yeah, I mean, I was in office at the Mail for a long time, and he would ring up journalists while you were there, and, she would ring up them and say, I'm going to be here, I'm going to be there, or she wanted to talk to them. Obviously, that was asking, his own mother asked the press to come round. Yeah. So, he can't just blame everybody else. But the thing is, he doesn't accept any responsibility. No. He just doesn't.
Well, we've seen that in the book, haven't we? When we were talking about Spare when it first came out, every single passage of it is literally dripping with kind of self-loathing and loathing of everybody else, and that everybody else is to blame for everything that's ever happened to him, and nothing is his responsibility, apparently.
Yes, well, that's very childish, isn't it? Really?
And also, why does he think it's all right for him to have a go at what he regards as the rock-bottom government?
Yeah, well, I think that's a very, very big mistake, because members of the royal family know that they don't sort of talk about politics. They don't go to one side or another side. And there he's saying, which he's not lived here for 2 years, and although he thinks he knows it, our life here in this country has changed unrecognisably in a couple of years. And he says that, you know, the country is rock bottom. Well, you know, how dare he say that? It's an insult to us all.
Right.
Actually,
he doesn't even live here anymore, for heaven's sake.
No, well, that's what I mean.
I mean, maybe what you should do is take a stroll down to Los Angeles or up to San Francisco, where the cities are literally riven with homeless people living in tents on the streets.
Yeah, well, that's what was very interesting, actually, because he didn't mention that at all. And we know that the paparazzi and press are much freer to do what they like, and if you are well known, you can't stop them.
Well, he bangs on about the press.
Everybody.
You know, he bangs on about the press and making his life a misery. But so far, the two events that he talks about the most, i.e., his mother and her tragic death in a Paris tunnel, being chased by foreign paparazzis, and his own, you know, near catastrophic incident in New York City, both away from Britain, nothing to do with the British press. But he's having a go at the British press. Why doesn't he ever go at the French and the Americans?
Yes, that's right. Well, he doesn't have the way of doing it there. But the other thing is, you just mentioned his book, Spare, and what he says about people and situations is very different from what he's put in his draft that he had to send through to the
court.
To the court.
Yeah.
And I mean, how? And then somebody's pointed that out to him and said, you know, this is different. He said, oh, is it? You know, I mean, I can't imagine why the lawyer didn't actually take him through everything word by word, but obviously he didn't listen.
No. Well, he doesn't listen, does he? Because he knows better than everybody else, and he alone is the sole arbiter of what is right and what is wrong. And apparently he's forgotten about all the stupid stuff that he did and thinks that it was all cooked up to make him look foolish. Well, I think he's making himself look foolish, I'm afraid.
I think he does look very, very foolish because everybody knows if you go to court, you have to provide facts and evidence. You can't take sweeping comments that I'm sure I'm right.
Yes.
It doesn't work.
Yeah, it really doesn't. It just makes him look like a complete idiot. Angela, great to talk to you. Thank you very much indeed. Angela Levin, Royal Biographer there on Harry. Day 2 in the courts of justice, where basically yesterday he said, all these stories were obtained illegally. How do you know that, Harry? Well, I just think they were. OK, then, fine. Game, set and match. Goodbye.